got the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It's Monday, Thanksgiving week. Hope everybody's doing well. Hit us up on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Love to get your comments every day. Or hit us up on the professional door text line 3910788. Coming up today, Jermaine Ferrell will go through the high school weekend. What's left of the local teams in the football playoffs. Volleyball championships. I know Radford got a title. We'll talk about all that. Phil Elmassian at 7:30, the coach, and then Coach Todd Grantham coming up at 8 o'clock. Hope everybody's well. Good morning, Paul, Prometheus. What's up, Mr. Lester? Good morning. Good morning, Opal. Well, you may notice that I'm not in Dallas. Radford playing SMU tonight. All sorts of issues with a flight that apparently didn't show up in the booking, and you dealt with that all day yesterday, and then found out you couldn't get another flight in time, really, to make it work. So we're going to do the old-fashioned Radford during the dreaded COVID era broadcast tonight, where we get the raw feed and we'll simulate. In other words, if you're listening, you won't be able to tell we're not there. But anyway, very frustrating Sunday trying to deal with knowing you're not going to get out of town. But hey, the bright spot for you is you get a show. We wouldn't have had a show today. Right? Yay! So anyway, that's that brief explanation. Man, a lot going on. First of all, and I know we have a lot of people toward that end of the state, I want to give my sincere congratulations to the Union High School football team. I'm not going to get into details. Everybody knows what's been going around about what's happening down at Union with Travis Turner, the coach. A lot of unsubstantiated things You can read about what is going on to a certain degree, waiting for police updates. I'm not going to get on here and talk about it because none of it is verified, but those kids had just an unbelievably horrible situation present itself to them with their coach, undefeated Union, and they go out, voted to play that game. They had to fight to play that game. Administration did not want to play that game at first. And thank goodness the folks at Union realized that those kids did not deserve to be punished for something that was out of their control. And they go out and shut down Graham, and they advance. So congratulations to those folks. Everybody toward that way, we're thinking about you. All those young people, all those young kids. Sports can be pretty strong therapy, and that's a team together. And hopefully we'll get at least some kind of update about what's going on down there so things aren't kind of in limbo. But anywho, I wanted to get that out of the way. That kind of broke on Friday and well after the show. Just a horrible situation. Horrible situation. But anyway, hey, Tina, good morning. How are you? Prometheus, I'm not going to get into it because it's not an official news event yet. I'm not going to get on here and talk about it. I'll say this. If the things that are being alleged are true, it's as bad as it gets. I'll say it that way. You can type it into Google and get an update on the story to a certain point. But I'm going to wait. I choose to wait until things are true. So I'm just going to wait. But kudos to those kids anyway. But I will say that, Prometheus, if everything that has been said and from what various sources that I've talked to and people who cover and follow it all say the same thing. It's as bad as it can get, the actions of a school administrator. We'll say it that way. How about that? Virginia Tech played Miami on Saturday. Not much there. I mean, again, you play hard. At some point, though, you get tired of hearing that, right? They played really hard, and they have. 34-17. Miami did whatever they wanted throwing the football. Carson Beck, 4 touchdown passes. They didn't even really need to run it very much. Malachi Toney is just a terrific, terrific receiver. My goodness gracious. And Tech, they fall to 3-8. Kyron Drones, another pedestrian day throwing the football. Tech was able to run the ball, but fell behind. And, again, they play hard. And I don't know about you, but the game turned into a James Franklin sideshow. From a broadcast perspective, they ran him out there again to speak to the crowd. Did it not feel like Philip Montgomery's demeanor was a lot different? He was all over the officials. I think he's very frustrated. I know he understands the business, but he came across to me as a different personality type during the game, and I think all this has kind of weighed on him a little bit since the announcement last Monday afternoon and the publicity tour that's going on with Franklin. It kind of felt like he was on edge a little bit because every time they showed him, he was snarling and going after somebody. Officiating was as bad as I've seen. I mean, I don't know when are people going to, not us, but when are the people in charge going to stand up and do something about what the hell's going on with officiating in football at the collegiate and professional levels? I don't understand. That was one of the poorest officiated games, and I didn't cost Tech the game. It was horrible both ways. One of the worst officiated games I have ever seen. And I think we all are at the point to where now we have to watch a game and just expect that, okay, the sideshow of the officiating is going to be another factor that we shouldn't have to worry about. and that the players and coaches shouldn't have to worry about as much as they do. Horrible weekend of officiating throughout college. Worse again yesterday in the NFL. The league continues to ignore it, and this is why people think games are fixed. This is why people think games aren't legitimate. It's a huge reason why, and it's tied into the officiating and the flags. The old Chiefs flags came out again yesterday. That's being heavily scrutinized. And by the way, what in the holy hell has happened to Tony Romo? He's absolutely the worst, most insufferable analyst on television. He was almost weeping in favor of the Chiefs, and he's being called out by all sorts of folks. CBS needs to set him down. His bias yesterday for everything Mahomes, it's not just something imagined. These are people that don't have a dog in the fight, and they're sitting there, what in the heck's going on? And Jim Nantz deserves a better partner than Tony Romo. I mean, he has regressed into the absolute worst analyst on television. Remember when he was a rising star, when he was telling people about plays ahead of time? Breaking down formations and just looking at it and doing it that way. I remember when he first started that first year or two, people were like, man, he sounds a little like Madden in terms of what he's doing in game breakdown. Oops. Just horrible. But Tech falls to 3-8, and they get one more chance next week to spoil Virginia's dream. Speaking of spoiling, we knew Georgia Tech was on the cusp, and boy, they just they fell behind 28-0 to Pitt. They are now out, in all likelihood, of any ACC title game or any playoff. They had everything in control, and they blew it. And they haven't been the same since the blown call gifted them the Wake Forest win. And the Pittsburgh Panthers go in there in an Narduzzi and get a huge win in Atlanta. Massive, massive win. And the ACC is going to get just their one bid. Will it be Miami? Will it be somebody else? Who knows going to be in the playoff or in the ACC title game with them? It's all up for grabs. A lot of things can happen. A very important weekend. Virginia Tech can salvage at least something if they go in and play the role of spoiler in Charlottesville. That's a night game on Saturday, I believe, right? That's a night game. Louisville's lost 3 in a row. Unbelievable, the implosion of Louisville and Jeff Brom. He got the big extension, and they haven't won since. Isn't it crazy how quickly the fortunes can just change just like that? Oh, by the way, James Madison goes to 10-1. They beat Washington State. But the ACC is an absolute mess right now. Therefore, the optimism, the high optimism early about what might happen with James Franklin. Yeah, that fake punt was one of the worst things that I had seen at that point of the game. If you punt it deep, by the time they get the ball down the field, they're going to use up clock. It was bad. They lucked out. That was in spite of Narduzzi. You're right, Paul. I don't know what that was. Horrible, horrible play call. But one more pre-Franklin era. Already two of the here's something else that's misrepresented. Everybody kept sending me, I kept seeing it. Hey, all these tech sites reposting. Look at all the decommits at Penn State. 19 of them. 19 decommits. That means they're all going to come to Blacksburg. Do you understand why kids decommit when a coach is fired? Here's what happens. Kids are decommitting because the money that they were offered, and if you're at Penn State in the Big Ten, high school kids, you're getting NIL. Varying amounts, but you're getting NIL. All those deals become nullified when that coach leaves because you've made the deal with that coach. That coach has negotiated your NIL, not third party. So when that coach leaves, your money is no longer guaranteed because you don't know who the new coach is going to be. So those kids are decommitting because all of a sudden they want to get themselves back on the market looking for a better payday or ensuring they're going to get some kind of payday. The immediate assumption was pretty humorous from all these tech folks that were saying, hey, look at that. They're so excited about coming to Blacksburg. Well, the top two guys, or two of the top two guys, have already decommitted, and they're both going to Georgia. The linebacker and the running back. And you know why they're going from Penn State to Georgia? Because do you think Virginia Tech's going to out NIL Georgia? The answer is no. And Prometheus, you hit on my other point. Kids that are in the Big Ten know they're in one of the two of the biggest power leagues, right? The two that control it. They are going to look naturally at going to the ACC as a downgrade. Now, I know they stay power, but I kept telling people you're making the wrong connection there with those decommitments. It's about money. Folks, people are not loyal to the school or the coach like you think they are. This isn't 3 years ago. They're loyal to one thing. They're loyal to the damn money. You know this. Don't be surprised if a lot of those guys end up going elsewhere. He may get a few, but he's going to go out and recruit now as the Virginia Tech head coach. He'll convince some of those guys. Sure, he won't get shut out. But I think people generally thought that all those kids were just they were doing that because of Franklin. No. We're going to talk about that with Todd Grantham. Who knows how it works? He was part of a staff that was dismissed at Oklahoma State. I mean, you know the terrain now and the free-for-all. You know what it is. As a matter of fact, kids right now are decommitting at other places that were supposed to come in year one because they're getting better deals. They never stop with the negotiations because there's no rules in place. This is what a mess it is. And we're seeing kids go from one SEC school to the other before even some of these places have coaches in place. They're not doing it because of coaches. But anyway, I don't know how many you'll get. Many of you asked me on the professional door. I don't know. He'll get some, but he won't get the majority, as people were telling me, of those 19 decommitments. The money was taken away, so therefore they decommitted. And the Penn State situation comes a little clearer to me, and it makes my question even larger now. And I don't know if we'll ever get an answer. And I guess maybe we'll just have to wait to see how James Franklin fits in here and everything. But they clearly did not have someone in mind to replace him. Because if it were ever a thought, like the initial, remember when it happened, Matt Rule, because he's close with the AD. Well, they worked Matt Rule, Penn State, who, by the way, have gotten a lot better since James Franklin left. Facts. Absolutely worked Nebraska and Matt Rule on Saturday. Worked them. That guy was never, ever in serious contention to be the head coach. Ever. Penn State's one game away from bowl eligibility. They've got Rutgers. They beat Rutgers. They're going to a bowl. They almost should have beat Indiana, beat Michigan State, and then they crushed Nebraska. Florida State kept Mike Norvell because of the buyout, plain and simple. We'll get Todd Grantham to talk about that. They were not going to, in any way, shape, or form, get an agreement with the boosters that they should or could be able to come up with the $58 million. That is simply we're not ready to pay that mode. The buyout saved Mike Norvell, and that buyout helped Virginia Tech get James Franklin because James Franklin wanted that job. We'll talk about that with Todd Grantham. They were never in a position to talk to anybody about that job because they knew that they couldn't fire Norvell. That's the only reason he's there. It's all because, and I wouldn't call it money troubles, but I think that school, we've been talking about why Penn State took the $50 million. Now they're just paying $9 million. But some of these schools that are having to eat the buyout, Florida State waited, and they said, all right, we're going to go one more year. One more year. That's the only reason Norvell was there. He was saved by the buyout. Tebow's right. A lot will depend on the assistant coaches. But in any event, Penn State's gotten better, which I think is curious. Don't you? Or it should, as a Tech fan, make you a little curious why that team has rallied. They didn't fold up, did they? Remember when it all happened and the players said the coach wasn't bought in? They're one win away from going to a bowl. I guess those kind of things don't matter. Yeah, JMU beats Virginia Tech in women's basketball yesterday. Tech hadn't challenged themselves at all. And again, I don't like those type of schedules, what Mike Young is doing, what Megan Duffy's done. I mean, yeah, you win 5 or 6 games, but are you really ready? Are you really challenging yourself? And JMU beat up on them yesterday. Yeah. Big win. Big win. Paul says, I look at Franklin kind of like politics. It's not who I voted for or wanted, but now I have to support and hope he makes changes. Someone just texted me and said that they're going to get 8 or 9 of those kids. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I hope so from a Tech perspective. I hope so. Kids are not committed to the head coach like you think they are. You know when they become committed to the head coach? When the head coach promises them a certain amount of dollars. Now, he could do that at Virginia Tech, but he's not going to have as much money at Tech as he did at Penn State. Right? But we'll see. We'll see. But I felt like Philip Montgomery was a little on edge after everything that happened. I've been told he wasn't real pleased this week. What's up, Geese? What's up, Geese 88? Good morning. Welcome. Yeah, he's a player's coach. He was all over TV talking about that, huh? My gut on Lane Kiffin is LSU, Geese. It's going to be Ole Miss or LSU, I think. Although the wife pushed for Florida. That thing, isn't that weird, by the way? We're going to talk to Todd. It's great to have Todd on today, man. He's been following all this stuff. He gets info. It looked like we were going to have this thing come to a head on Saturday, but now they have a bye week. Got the Egg Bowl coming up. And now this weekend, it looks like everything may hit with Lane. Yeah, $90 million, man. I was told LSU was going to be the destination, and it feels like that's what's going to happen. But we'll see. Ole Miss kind of backed off a little bit. I wonder if players kind of went to the administration and, they got a chance to do some damage in the playoff, right? That's a good football team. It's just odd, man. It's a strange situation. Very strange situation. But yeah, lots of messages coming in about the officiating in the Tech game. It was embarrassing. It's embarrassing every weekend. And what are we to do as fans? What are people who are spending money and investing in this stuff as us? What are we supposed to do? When in the NFL product, absolute joke yesterday. Absolutely a joke. But the Tech game was another example of just why we scratch our heads. That was some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. Some of the calls, the made-up calls, so bad. Why does it feel like Lane could be Belichick's wingman at a bar? I have Jordan. I don't really need a wingman. I'm my own wingman. Huh. Yeah, Cowboys down 21-0. Eagles looked great in that Kelly Green, man, the old throwbacks, and then they blew a 21-0 lead. Rumblings about the team losing faith in Jalen Hurts. It's why the championship teams will tell you, and coaches, players, organizations, it's much easier to get to the apex of the mountain. It's much more difficult to stay there. The journey is more exciting and more plausible than the actual long-term stay on the mountain. Absolutely. Prometheus says, to get perspective on the difference between the ACC and the SEC, Lane's going to get $90 million. Franklin gets around $40. Exactly. Yeah. Especially going back to back, Geese. You're right on it. Please subscribe, like, and share our content on the channel. Trudging our way to 1,000 subscribers, and then we're good for a while here on YouTube. Remind people it's free. Please subscribe, share what we're doing. Are you telling me that Lane Kiffin has ever done anything easy? His son was photographed wearing LSU headphones. Really? I'm not surprised, Paul. Not surprised. Rams are definitely for real. Contract's exactly what, we said last week it would be, Joseph. About $8 million per year. I mean, that's what we said. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly where it fell in line where I thought it was going to be. No surprise. And it helped out Penn State. Yeah. Yeah. David's quoting Miley Cyrus songs in chat. It's The Climb. Okay. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know a lot of Miley Cyrus's music, but it has to be better than her dad's one hit, Achy Breaky Heart. Tina, you're 100% right. Just wait and see. The refs will make sure the Chiefs make the playoffs. This was the year for my Bills. Yeah, the Bills aren't good at all. Tebow says it's not Hurts, it's the OC. Yeah, play calling's terrible. I think Hurts needs to be more of a leader on the field, though. I'll say that. I think you can have a calm demeanor, and I love the kid. By the way, Jalen Hurts is one of my guys, all right? But he needs to be a little more assertive out there. $15 million for assistants per year is big money. Yeah, that's good. Coordinators are going to be huge for James Franklin. A coach like James Franklin has to have extremely, extremely strong coordinators. He'll take care of the recruiting part of it and the talent part of it, but he needs really good football minds around him. And they should get that, like Wayne said, for the money. My logic last week about the Chiefs over the Colts was prophetic. We got down to that pick with David Smith, and he went with the Colts. I said that the league's not going to let the Chiefs just fade away and go to 5-6. I'm sorry, but it is. Right? It is. It is. No question. Party of the USA. Oh, was that Miley Cyrus? Oh, was that Miley Cyrus? Really? Okay. Can't say that I usually have that one on in my my Jeep as I'm driving to work or driving wherever. Yeah, let's see, man. We're going to trudge through some tough terrain, man. Going to put the Jeep, take the doors off, and get the four-wheel drive going. You know what? It's time for some Miley. That's not really ever happening. Yeah, Dwight Vick, he and I were going back and forth. We got him a lot of pub. He talked about Overton on the show Thursday. He said, I wouldn't be surprised. Give that guy to Baltimore. He's a game breaker. He can break a long run for you. And then boom, it happens. That's why I say Dwight Vick is the quintessential source for all things Virginia Tech football. Now you know what I mean. That guy. How about that guy? Family Fencing is the sponsor of our studio here in Reiner, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrb.com. Go give Jason Green a call. They're going to work through the winter. And Mark Hunley, this chat room that's exploding. Man, I love the chat. Thank you for the chat room. McClellan Chiropractic right off of Peppers Ferry Road. And I love the text line, Professional Door Incorporated. Congratulations again to the community. You've heeded our requests and you filled up his work staff. 38 years in business. Go see Travis in Dublin. Garage doors better than anybody. I get messages all weekend. It's great. Thank you. If I don't respond quickly, I was dealing with this flight disaster yesterday. It didn't happen, so now I'm here. But that's okay. We'll still have a broadcast for you tonight. Terry says it's time for some Taylor Swift in the Jeep, bro. No. Yeah, you could, Wayne. You could bring out some Taylor Swift quotes, but I wouldn't know. Yeah, Franklin's gone through 3 different coordinators since Pry, defensive coordinators. That should be a little bit of a concern as well. Hey, how's Creed doing after days munching on that spot? Oh, he's good, man. He had a couple other critters over the weekend. Thanks, Knicks fan, for asking. He's good. I think it all just kind of, he's used to it by now. That dude comes walking out of the back. We got this really nice flat wooded area behind the house, and he comes walking out. He's got like just a little white patch here, and he's got blood on it. I'm like, yeah, go get it, bud. David says, I thought Rick was a total Swiftie. Probably has a complete CD selection. It's not true. This is not true. None of that is true. Overton. Yeah, I need to keep that kid. I agree. Heath, yeah, be nice to keep him too. Look, him filling a roster with talent, Franklin's not going to be an issue at all. Boy, he's awful media savvy, wasn't he? On TV yesterday or Saturday. Wayne says another just blatant lie. Rick is a closet Swiftie. He gives out friendship bracelets. Tebow, I don't believe that's going to happen. ODU's going bowling for one. Ricky Ronnie's turned that program around. And I don't know if this is not, let me just ask you, okay? This is not derogatory. I really like Brent Pry. Do you want Brent Pry to be your defensive coordinator? I mean, he never had the defense all to himself at Penn State. Is that the deflection? Is that the direction you'd want to go as a Tech fan? I'm asking the question. Matthew says, if the spider was radioactive, that makes Rick an official part of the Marvel team. That's true. Spider Creed? I don't think you want Brent Pry as your defensive coordinator. And I don't know if Ricky Ronnie, and he's going to get a raise. What's ODU now, by the way? What's their record? Let me look it up here. I mean, everybody thinks that everybody's just going to come jump and run and leave what they have built. I don't see that happening. Old Dominion's got 8 wins. Wow. They're going to have 9 wins. They're going to go 9-3. I don't think that coach is leaving that program to be part of James Franklin's staff. That's just me. I mean, you work as an assistant your whole life to try to become a head coach at whatever level, and you try to work your way up and get a better job. And then people are going to say, well, he might be able to offer him more money. Can he? One guy? I don't know. But see, we always speculate on these things, and we don't know personal mindset, you know? We don't know what a guy's looking to do. Prometheus talking about Franklin. Everybody sees this as a perfect fit. I see fake. It's a horse and pony show so far. Yeah, high school recruiting coordinator, analyst. Be careful, Rick. Don't make Selma jealous. No. And Selma knows she has no peers, especially with me. She knows. She knows. What does Ronnie make it, ODU Bill? I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he makes. He makes less than $1 million. Okay, would that be enough, though? And that's what you don't know. Like, to run your own program, ODU is going to give him a bump. They're not stupid. They're going to go 9-3 because they played Georgia Southern, and they're terrible. So he'll end up making over $1 million. He'll probably get a bump. He might get a bump toward $2 million, $1.5 million at least. Would you want to leave a head coaching position to go be a coordinator, even though he's your good friend? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking the question. What would you do? Well, he found that quarterback in the first place, right? Sure, he feels like he can find another one. Let me ask you a question. Just like with Brent Pry, do you really, as Tech fan, want Ricky Ronnie, whose reputation really wasn't much till he started beating Tech? This year, his offense took off because of the quarterback. I'm just asking the question. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight either. I'm asking you, what would you want as Tech fan? If that's what you want, I hope that's what you get, because you've suffered long enough. you deserve some satisfaction. You know how you can get satisfaction if you need to raise money for your local high school team? The Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com with Bob Christ. The Floyd County softball team needed money. They got $4,000. They doubled what they were looking for. They went through the Ready Set Fund. Check them out, ReadySetFund.com. BOBCRIST11@gmail.com. Buy your next vehicle at Harvey's Gym, by the way, in Radford. Do that. Just do it. And thanks to National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner, BDST, here on YouTube. Thank you, Lara Ramsey. Thank you, Lara Ramsey. How quickly people on the text line, you're going to see how quickly, I'm sorry, I didn't preface that. How quickly will the talent level increase under Franklin? Immediately. I'm just saying that, he's not going to get the bulk of those Penn State kids like everybody thought. That's all. He'll find other ways. He'll recruit. It'll happen pretty quickly. And just like any other coach, he has to assess. They have to get through one more game. And and then he'll assess what's there, see what might fit in his mindset. I mean, he's probably already got his coordinators hired. We just don't know who they are yet. That's the other thing. Like, this isn't something that is going to surprise anybody like him. He's already been working on that. Thanks to James Lawson, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Since 1997, give James a call, 540-381-8011, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Windows, plumbing supplies, plus installation. And go bowl at the NRB Super Bowl, 382-5525. They're going to have lots of December boogie bowling and all sorts of great stuff, man. So make sure you go and you do that. It's a lot of fun. Chris Lester says, I want a quarterback and an OC that can unlock all of his abilities. That's going to be the first and biggest recruit. Yes. Yes, Ricky Ronnie has done a nice job with quarterbacks. James Franklin has not. It's true. And he has to recognize that. What is our BDST fan question of the week? Brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford this week. We won't have a show Thanksgiving. We'll have to base it around Thanksgiving, right? We'll figure it out. We might have to center this one around Thanksgiving food. Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air. 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. The best in the absolute biz. Go see them. Get it done. And we are presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. The good news is in December, we're going to start having folks on weekly to get you updated, get you excited about what's going on in the NRB with Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And thanks to Top Shelf Apparel, Brandon. Our T-shirts, by the way, if you want them, still have them. Catching up on people who have orders. I have people who have requested. They haven't paid. We'll figure it out. $20 if I can get them to you locally. $30 if ship. Hit me up. We have medium, large, extra large, double X. I have orders in for triple X tall and for smalls. Trying to just fit the variety of needs that have been requested. People are digging them. They're awesome. And if you want one, please give me a DM me, either Rick Watson or Big Dog Sports Talk, or hit me up on the BDST professional door text line. I think you're right, Tina. Franklin had a Penn State quarterback drafted, but he washed out. I don't think he's developed any NFL quarterbacks, no. Definitely not starters. That's a great question, David. I can't imagine the buyout would remain in place if they rehire him. It's just an odd situation to present itself. But I think you're right, Tina. Wayne says, yes, your big fan base, 3XL tall. Yeah, working on that I had several requests for that, so that's awesome. Slide into my DMs. Thanks, SWV. Hey, but you got me today because of the just god-awful ineptitude of the airport and the flight. God almighty, what's going on with the airline industry? We don't have record of your reservation. What? Can I get a – what do you mean? You're not in here. What? That's okay. But I'm here, and we will have a broadcast. Radford SMU tonight. But again, you see, we don't know motivation. Obviously, Brent Pry sold Virginia Tech in a lot of ways to James Franklin. Look, if Brent Pry would have told James Franklin, you stay away from this place, he never would have even – he would have went to TV. That was his only other option, and he would have taken it. So Brent Pry obviously reveres this place, and he didn't hold any ill will. And to him, give him a lot of credit for that. So he, in his mind, it might be good for him to come back in some capacity. I don't know. Again, we can't speak on these people's behalfs. Yeah, we can speculate, but we don't know. I just know that if you're okay, I know it's a group of five, right? Ricky Ronnie is starting to build a reputation a little bit now, right? That's a good team. You win 9 games, and if he can somehow, stay successful, all of a sudden does he become a guy that could squeeze into a lower tier power job in a year or so? I don't know. I'm just trying to think in my own mindset. If I had a good friend, and I don't know how close they are, I don't know if they consider themselves best friends, but let's say I had a really good friend that got to be the head coach at Virginia Tech, and I'm the head coach at ODU, and I've worked my tail off to finally get this program with a massive breakthrough year. I've beaten Virginia Tech. I have relationships. I have a staff. I have recruiting ties. Do I want to leave what I've built to go be a coordinator somewhere else for more money? Is that enough? I don't know the answer. See, I just don't know what he might be thinking. I don't know. If we leave now, we can get you down there. Yeah. Westbound and down. Yeah, we could get in Cletus's truck, and I'd be in the Trans Am. I could be like the Sally Field character that he runs into on the road, right, when she's in the wedding dress, flagging him down. My guess would be, if I'm a head coach at an in-state school, I'm in the Commonwealth, I don't know if I want to give that program up to go be a coordinator. Right? He's going to get a raise. Old Dominion knows they have to. I know their president. He was the president at Radford. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. But they've got Georgia Southern. They're going to go 9-3. So we'll see. We'll see. Coming off your bounce year, right? This is your breakthrough. This is his program arriving at the group of 5 level, right? It's taken him a while, but Old Dominion, not that old of a program. And he's been the architect of it. Do you want to give that up just because your good buddy wants you to come, maybe potentially, and again, that's a personal decision. No right or wrong answer. It's his decision. He can do whatever he wants to do. Who's playing in the ACC title game? The league's not good. People are going to say, "Oh, it's the depth of the league." No, it's not. It's not good. It's not good. Not good. David says, Ronnie could be hired as the head coach in waiting when Franklin bolts for the SEC in 3 years. That's assuming he's going to have the success that every Tech fan is immediately assigning to James Franklin. Just saying. When he bolts for 3 years. A lot of people asking about Norvell. He stayed because of the $58 million buyout. We'll get all these updates from Grantham coming up. I gave Jen a hard time too, by the way. She was posting, they beat up on Coastal Carolina, talking about the Gamecocks, which, come on. And she's posting all these graphics. Cox win. Gamecocks win. I'm like, Jen. That's how bad it is down there. Wayne says, but Shane is in waiting. Ha ha. Hey, Morris, good morning. You should get your shirts today, Morris. For all that tracking I sent you. No news on revamping the ACC refs, and God knows they need it. You just get nothing but silence. It's deafening silence from the leagues and the NFL. Yeah, Franklin can definitely win in the ACC. It's not a good conference, and the schedule is horrible next year. So, I mean, in terms of competition. So, yeah, that's why I think people, when we had our BDST attorney Ryan Pry fan question of the week last week, that's why nine won out. People looked at all that. It's not unreasonable at all to think that 9 would be the number. I get it. I completely get it. But I have a lot of people on the text line asking me about more details with the Union High School. Just when those details become official, look, I'm not going to do that to those families. I'm not going to do that to those kids. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. When it becomes a release from the authorities, then we can discuss it. I hope people understand and respect that. Talking about lives of young people. We're talking about the mental landscape of an entire school with the allegations and the things that have come out. None of this is the fault of the kids. None of this is on the team. And for those players to vote to play and get that win, that says a whole hell of a lot for those young people. So you can Google it, and you can find discussions on it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Knicks fan, Tebow. I'm so surprised I didn't think he could get any worse. Talking about Kyron Drones, yeah, he's not good. I mean, we've said this, and this isn't a knock. You know, two things can be true. I'm sorry, when you're making $1.5 million, I no longer feel bad about saying it. He's not a good quarterback. He can run. He can do things with his feet, and he's tough to bring down, but he's not a good quarterback. Is that where Tech is right now, Wayne? 124th? Is that where they're ranked right now? Hey, Morris, I loved your picks, by the way. Morris went to the Florida-Tennessee game down there in the Palm Coast. Didn't go well. Ouch. Yeah, Tebow, he's inconsistent, makes boneheaded plays. Yeah, it's never worked. And really, you can tie Kyron Drones into the eventual downfall of Brent Pry because he did not evaluate the portal for his quarterback properly. And this is not revisionist history. Back when we had the radio show, we talked about it a lot. This guy made, 2 starts at Baylor, and you felt like he was going to come in and be your guy. Yeah, I think so, Ryan. Yeah, Drones is such a good athlete. If he has any kind of hands at all, maybe he could develop into a tight end. But Brent Pry staked it on the development of Kyron Drones. Didn't really have a quarterback coach. He had his offensive coordinator trying to do both those jobs, and he wasn't qualified to be the OC, so it didn't work out. And James Franklin won't have that kind of issue. He'll find a quarterback better suited for his offense. And that's what he's going to have to do, and that's going to have to come out of the portal. So that's what happened, I think. If Kyron Drones had hit, if they could have followed up the year they beat that depleted team, Tulane in the bowl, and followed that up with an 8 or 9 win season, and Drones was that guy, then Brent Pry would still be the coach. But when you don't evaluate the portal properly, when you need it, you get into a lot of trouble. At that position, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. And I think that's why Franklin is kind of telling you he's going to try to develop players as opposed to just feeding them out of the portal. Now, he knows year 1 is going to be different. But he knows, I mean, it's not rocket science. He's got to get that position right with the next Tech quarterback. So I don't know. Tina says, you know that song, I Believe I Can Fly? Well, drones is not fly. Next week, they're 11-point underdogs in Charlottesville. That's a Saturday night game, right? Saturday night? Would not surprise me at all to see Tech go in there and spoil their party again. Pitt tried to blow the game against Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech showed you they're not a serious championship team. They were down 28-0 on their home field to Pitt. To their credit, they rallied, but they've been showing cracks for a while. Should not have won the weight game. Again, we go back to ACC officiating. The blatant miss on the offside. And they have just not been that team. So I don't know. Pitt, UVA, Miami, who's it going to be? I don't know. Yeah, Steve, I was thinking about you, man. Sorry. Steven is our Georgia Tech grad. Son played there. I mean, he's all in with the gold helmet, and didn't work out, man. Sorry, brother. Yeah, and that's, Wayne, you're right. UVA had a shot. Remember when they played Florida State, and we talked about it. Could they have an atmosphere, right? And it was better. It was a better atmosphere, but it wasn't really good. It was all right. You got Tech coming in. If you win, and I haven't seen all the latest math, is a win mean they're in the ACC title game? Is that where they are, or is that they have to wait anything else? I think they win and they're in, right? Is that what they said on Saturday? And if they can't get their own fans, because Tech fans going to show up. Tech fan will make that into a home game if UVA not careful. So if UVA and SMU win, they're in. Thank you, Ryan. I wasn't sure. I was airport woeing yesterday. Hey, don't worry about the typo, man. I can't type. All right, so UVA, SMU win, they're in. There you go. SMU's come on. SMU has come on. Radford plays SMU tonight. I'll be broadcasting from the Dedman Center, not from Dallas. Thanks, Airlines. Woohoo! Wow. There's a lot of industries right now that are in trouble and are inept. There's nothing, I think, that tops the current airline industry. Knicks fan says you could give drones enough time to eat a sandwich and he still couldn't hit a wide receiver 5 feet away. I'd kind of like to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing a guy just sit back there with so much time he pulls a sandwich out of his bounces it at his feet. What's up, Brandon? Brandon, you boy, I tell you what, man, you loving that Kool-Aid. Yes, if they lose, it creates like a 4-way tie. Oh, and then good luck trying to figure out the tiebreaker. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Thank you. I knew you'd be on it, Brandon. James Madison would win the ACC. Enough said. Yeah. Yeah. Question now is, where will Bob Chesney go? Where will Bob Chesney go? Monty's last stand, right? Yeah. They beat UVA, then it's Miami and SMU. Is that right? Great stuff. You've lifted me up this morning after my airport woes. Chat and text line. Thank you. See, this was meant to be, because I would not have had a show from Dallas this morning. Do I think Tech can upset UVA? Oh, hell yeah. They dominate that series. Look what happened with Stanford and Cal. And then Cal fires Wilcox. They fired their coach. It's not the ACC coach people thought would be fired on Sunday. Whereas Florida State shied away from the $58 million payout, Cal fired their coach because Ron Rivera, the former NFL coach, is a Cal Bear great, got impatient, pulled the rug out. So, yeah, absolutely Tech can win that game. 100% they can. Well, ain't nobody will be surprised. Let's look at the trajectory of that rivalry. So we'll see. Phil Elmassian coming up in just a little bit, and then Todd Grantham, who will talk about all these coaching situations and get you updated on what's happening. I mean, Ferrell always gets us updated on what's happening. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How is Rick Watson? I caught the tail end. You had some airline issues?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in Dallas right now, but they didn't have me. They didn't have anything about me in any variety about my flights. And then we went back and forth, waited, and just hung out, and then found out that I couldn't get anything until what would be too late for me to actually get there and do the game today. So we're going to do the old dreaded COVID broadcast where you get the raw feed. It'll sound like I'm there, but I'll be in the Dedman Center calling the game. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. Let me ask a dumb question, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, so please help me. How does the travel work? I mean, don't you travel with the team, or you just do it?
No, most of the time you do. This was a different type of situation. So it's just like Roth and Burnip. They don't travel at all with Tech football. They never have.
Right.
So you go separately and you work it out. So we had it worked out administratively, but for some reason it didn't show up in any of the airline computers. So then I'm not there. Then it's gone, right? That seat doesn't exist. So I went through all that. So, and then I'm waiting. Oh, well, we could get you here, get you there, just hang out. Nah, never happened. And then, oh, you can do it tomorrow. Well, the game's at 8. That doesn't help me, So here I am.
So where were you going to fly out? Of Roanoke or Charlotte, or how was it going to work?
Yeah, we're going to go to Greensboro.
Okay.
Fly to Greensboro. But there was nothing at Charlotte. We looked all that up. Trust me. We exhausted every avenue.
So the Radford jet was not available.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Highlander personal jet was already full, so I couldn't be able to that.
Highlander Airlines.
Highlander Airlines. Now this is the dreaded. I won't say the name of the airline, but anyway.
Is it an airline that's very popular?
Yes. It is.
Does it start with a D?
Yeah.
It starts with a U?
Starts with an A.
Oh, yeah. I take it's a very patriotic airline.
Correct. Dan Hut. Embarrassing.
Oh man, that is terrible. It's just terrible.
It's just terrible. It's just terrible.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, and obviously with everything's going on, it's such a tricky proposition that you have these airlines, all these issues. But
I know.
Especially this week because everybody's flying and everybody's going places, so it's real tricky. But the good thing is, I mean, there still will be a broadcast.
That's right. We'll still make it sound like we're there. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, what COVID has taught us is that we could do anything.
I guess so.
Like, what case? What? I didn't know what Zoom was.
Right. Yeah, I had no idea what Zoom was. You're right.
And now it's like, you got Clue, and now you're using a StreamYard. I mean, so there's so many outlets that we didn't know about until COVID.
Yeah, that's the only good thing that happened during that whole big lie. But anyway. All right. First of all, I know how much high school football means to you. And again, I've taken a stance. I'm not talking about the particulars because we don't have any sure facts of what happened with Union. I know people know. But how about that team voting to play despite everything going on, and they go out there and advance in the playoffs? And I know this shows you what high school sports means and what competition means. And I'm so happy for those young people for sticking together through all the horribleness that's surrounding that school right now. That's huge, and that it's uplifting to see that kind of mindset from a young team, from young people in that team, and to get the win like they did against Grant.
Yeah, and they did that, and the thing is, adversity can take you different routes, different things. So you just don't know how it's going to happen. But we do know that these things you have to work it out, and these guys, those players, did that, and they deserve a lot of credit. But with any situation, especially something to happen like that, kind of last minute is such a hard thing. But again, young people are so resilient.
I know.
So we have to just take that, and very proud of what they've done. But now you have another game. You're ready for the playoffs, and now we're in the regional finals. And this was a goal for a lot of teams, Rick. I mean, teams, this is their goal. A lot of teams, they want to practice on Thanksgiving. They love that opportunity, and that's what these youngins are getting, an opportunity to practice, on Thanksgiving. So kudos for that. And like I said, we got a lot of local games, which is
yeah. Who's left? Let's get into who's left. We know one team that's left is that Glenver Highlander team. Woo.
Yes, we have a total of 10 teams left. So we lost half our teams last week. So we have in Region 4D, that regional final, George Washington hosting Jefferson Forest. Jefferson Forest went on the road and won at Hanley. What's interesting about John Hanley is they don't have lights on their field. And I saw some video and pictures of their field. It's kind of a historic type field, but they don't have lights there. And so they play all their home games on the road. At home on Saturday. So they play Saturday football in the afternoon, which is interesting. So that'll be a big one. And then we go to Region 3C, Liberty Christian at 9-2, taking on Heritage. This is a regular season rematch. Of course, Heritage won at City Stadium early in the year. And Liberty Christian, everybody looked at us and said, they're a 6th seed. We don't know. But this team still won the last 2 state titles. So, and Brad Bryce said, we will meet again. And, of course, now they are in the regional final. These 2 teams will meet again. And then we go to Region 3D, Lord Botetourt, knocked off William Byrd. William Byrd's had their number in the last few years. They've taken on a Magna Vista team. And Lord Botetourt in the regional semifinals last year won at Magna Vista. So, Magna Vista, their last 3 playoff losses, Rick, have been to Blue Ridge District teams. Byrd knocked them off at home. Byrd won at Magna Vista. LB won at Magna Vista last year. Stand River before that. So, the Magna Vista, they're fired up and they'll be ready for this. And then kind of a match we saw coming in Region 2. So you mentioned Glenver. Brody Doyot played in the game, played offense and defense in the ball game. So I guess his injuries are okay now, and they face a tough Gretna team. Gretna, it was over Floyd County. It was 56-55.
56-55, man.
So points were at a premium. Well, not at a
yes,
premium. They were actually not on a premium, but back and forth they went in that ball game. And then 2 teams that I felt have been battle tested over the years. George Wythe went up to Giles and won. Giles, they're a young ball club and
huge win.
They really haven't had the experience, but a big win there in Grayson County. They've been there, done that the last few years, and Coach Stephen James' team building that momentum, getting that going, as they will take on George Wythe, but they knocked off Craig County, a great season for Craig County. But so now we only have 1 undefeated team left, and that's Glenver. Meanwhile, Heritage and George Washington, they've won their last 11 games. Since they lost their opener, Rick, they have won 11 in a row.
That's impressive.
And then you got to – I'm sorry, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead, Rick. Say something.
11 in a row. That's pretty big. That's pretty big, man.
Yeah. And then you look at kind of that Region 1C with Grayson County and George Wythe, 4 losses. But keep in mind, these 2 teams, they play tough schedules. They could play an easy schedule and get a bunch of wins, but they use those early season games. Coach Brandon Harner and also Coach Stephen James, they schedule tough so that this time of year they're ready. The players are ready. Say, oh, Coach, we've seen this, we've done that. So big wins there. So again, we have 10 teams left. And by the end of next week, we'll have 5 teams left competing for a state semifinal spot. And of course, number one seeds, we have 1 versus 2. When you look at Region 3D and Region 2C, it's been chalk. The number 1 plays the number 2. In Region 3C, the number 1 playing the 6C, Liberty Christian, getting a lot of road wins. They have 2 road wins. In Jefferson Forest, again, they're the 3 seed, and they have to go down to George Washington to play. And in George Wythe and Grayson County, a couple of teams that have, went on the road and won. And now Grayson County, last year they won a regional final for the first time ever, but they get to host a regional final against George Wythe. So a pretty good matchup between these 2 teams, and we'll see how it goes, Rick. This is fun. I mean, like I said, teams, Rick, they want to practice on Thanksgiving week, and they get that opportunity.
That's right. Jermaine Ferrell joined us, the sports director at WFXR. All right, so we got a big Commonwealth battle this weekend, huh? To say the least. UVA wins, they're in, hosting Virginia Tech, who they can't beat. So what's going to happen on Saturday? What do you think? It's going to be wild. Hopefully there's a good atmosphere in Charlottesville. I hope.
Yeah, I heard there are not that many tickets left. I think.
Okay, good.
They're selling pretty good, and a lot of times Hokie fans call Scott Stadium,
yes,
north.
Yes, they do.
But this is going to be a big game. I mean, for UVA, they get a win, and it'll help their cause of getting into the conference championship game. But yeah, this is big time stuff, Rick. I mean, this is why you play these games, and an opportunity to win 10 games. Like, I don't know if anyone had UVA winning 10 games, but what a season for Virginia this year. And as for Virginia, Tech, they're looking at brighter days ahead with James Franklin. Big announcement that was made last week, and probably not a big surprise. But I think a lot of people was asking me about the contract, and for the most part, if you look at the numbers, it's more backloaded. I thought some things that stood out with me with the contract was the fact, a $3 million annual recruiting budget. That gets your attention. They also get they also get money, a big pool of money for assistant coaches and support staff. That's important too. And so, great energy, great excitement. And Coach Franklin, talking with him, I feel like he's the right fit here in Blacksburg for the Virginia Tech Hokies, and I think he'll have a lot of success, Rick. I think, next year, obviously, you look at the schedule and games they can win, but I think they're really going to be excited. There's a lot of excitement, Rick.
Oh, I know. It's we had our weekly question last week, our BDST fan question of the week, and 9 wins next year, 1 out. It was either 9 or 8 wins. That was the 2 big. We had over 220 responses and 9 wins. So, Tech fan extremely optimistic about 2026.
Well, after this past season, where it looks like could win 3 games or 4 games, and it's just been like I said, a tough season. And James Franklin, he said, hey, he's going to talk to all the players, and they are still Virginia Tech players and all that. By the way, I'm wearing my alma mater sweat top. I know people been getting on me.
Cameron, what is that now? Yeah, tell us about Cameron. That's cool.
It's out in Lawton, Oklahoma, NCAA Division II program.
Sweet.
They haven't had football since '92, but I was in the Army. Took classes there. Got my degree from there. So they're a Division II program playing the Lone Star Conference. So.
I love that, man. That's cool.
I figured I'd wear that a little bit, show some pride, and their actual colors, Rick, are black and gold. So this is their actual colors.
Okay. Nice. I like that.
Not a fake thing.
Not the fake.
Some teams want to put black in their color scheme, but that's okay. You do what you got to do. I know you're not a fan of it, but one thing I want to talk about, how about the Dallas Cowboys yesterday?
A rally. That's right. Big rally.
A lot of those Dallas Cowboy teams in the past, you're down 21-0, and you come back and win. And Dallas, CeeDee Lamb yesterday had too many drops for my liking. And I know I'm getting into the, the weeds of Mr. Smith and his NFL coverage, but I feel like I'm like a buffet. I'm like a Golden Corral buffet. You give me football, high school, college, Virginia Tech. I dabble in the Mike Burnup and the Bill Roth and all your other Virginia Tech aficionados. But then the high school, you go to me, where, hey, you got 3 runners at first, second, and third, no out. You give me the high school pitch, I knock it out. There you go. But that's okay.
Yeah, the NFL's got to fix its officiating. If it doesn't, I mean, they're going to have to address it at some point. They got to make those guys full time. The product on the field is terrible, and the reason the product on the field is terrible is because of the ineptitude of the officiating. It's so bad, so bad.
Let me ask you this, by the way, drinking water, hydration is very important.
Hydration, there you go.
This segment is sponsored by hydration.
Hydration, yes.
I won't mention the company, but you can see it anyway.
Lots of hydration, yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's like the NFL. You just don't know from week to week. You don't know who's going to do what. I mean, that's the thing with me. When I watch NFL games, it's like, wow, these teams are really getting after it. You just don't know. You don't know from week to week who's going to do what. Like, you know, the trade in the Giants went to overtime. You know, Kansas City, they play the Cowboys. You know, they went to overtime with the Colts. I think that's going to be a fun game. I know Green Bay and Detroit is a big one, but Kansas City and Dallas is going to be huge too.
Yeah, we've got some decent Thanksgiving offerings. Who's the late game on the NFL Network? I haven't looked that up yet.
Well, NBC.
Is it NBC? Yeah, who we got?
I do. You pressuring me now. You threw.
Let me look here and see. Yeah. I don't know who the third game is this week.
Okay, hold on.
Let's see here. Bengals and Ravens. Oh, okay.
Well, on paper it looked good.
Yeah. 3-8, 6-5. Yeah, going into the season, you thought this was going to be Burrow and Lamar, right? You thought, hey, but no.
And that's like your dessert. That's your sweet potato pie.
That'll be the one when the turkey sets in. That's when the tryptophan. You got that game on. You're just going to go. Okay.
Well, it's funny. Like when you look at Thanksgiving traditions, it's like okay. And I think they start playing at 1:00. Remember, it used to be at 12:30, but that 1:00, the game's actually at 1. So they start 1. But the thing is, you'd eat during that game, you'd eat during that, and then the 4:30 game with the Cowboys where they play, then you eat some more, and then you stuff your face, and then at night, it's interesting. They added that Thanksgiving night game, but. By then you're so full of food, so then you just get ready for the next day. You eat some more, and
and
basically, it's funny too. It's like I think people by the time Saturday rolls around, they're probably tired of leftovers. Saturday or Sunday. I remember in our house we would just keep eating and eating that food. By Sunday, you're just tired of turkey and ham and baked beans and macaroni and cheese and green beans. And without a dessert, you're never tired. It was like the sweet potato pie, not pumpkin. No pumpkin. Sweet potato.
Oh, I love pumpkin pie. No, I'm going to disagree with you there.
Potato pie, Rick.
I love me some pumpkin pie.
And then, for me, I love cherry pie. I'm a big cherry pie guy. Love some cherry pie. What's that song, Sweet Cherry Pie? Was a singer?
It was.
Or a rock group had sweet
it was. I think it was Warrant.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think he was singing about actual pie, though.
Right. Well, we'll get off that topic. Hey, did you see the ACC Network did a little segment on Metallica and Enter Sandman? That was pretty neat. The other songs that were in the mix, like Welcome to the Jungle.
Well, according to James Franklin, it's called Enter the Sandman.
Ah. Well,
dude, you got to get that right. You messed it up 3 times.
It's okay. Hey, if he has the success everybody thinks he will, he can call it whatever he wants.
Yes, I can't wait to come out to Enter the Sandman. It kind of has that. James Franklin kind of has that Eddie Murphy voice in Beverly Hills Cop. You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
The lookalike he has. What's it, Michael Keegan? What's his name?
Yeah, Key and Peele.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think James Franklin, you got a proven winner. This guy, I tell you right now, Rick, this guy can win. And I think he's going to have success. And it wouldn't be surprising if he started the year. If he started, the first year that way. So we'll see.
Yeah, with that schedule, I think so. I hope they don't drop the JMU game. That's the big rumor. I hope that doesn't happen. That's going to be a bad look.
You talking about drop that game in favor of another game?
Yeah, well, if they add the 9th game, if they go ahead and officially, I think they are going to implement the 9th ACC game next year. So then all these teams have to drop one of their, games.
Well, their schedule, if I'm not mistaken, is it what I think their future schedule is VMI is on it. I think they play VMI, which if you're going to drop a game, maybe
correct. Got to drop that one. Yes.
but JMU, ODU,
Don't drop that. Don't drop
that.
that.
I tell you, that'd be a fun one. We'll see. You
I
know,
know.
schedule now, it's like you don't have the games you used to have, you know. But
I know.
That's how it goes.
Well, listen, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, man, with the fam. And we'll see how everything plays out next week. High school and college football, that Tech UVA game. We'll see.
Yeah. Sorry about the sun coming in with the blind.
No, hey, look, I had to fix I had it for like the first month and a half of the show.
the sun, so everybody's like, well, you got the blinds. You can't close the blinds.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
all right, brother. You take care, man. Stay safe.
Enjoy your broadcast tonight.
Eat well. I will. Yeah, I will. The good news is after the game, I'll only be 15 minutes from home. I don't have to worry about getting back from Dallas. That's the good.
You called it. So you called the game from the school.
Yeah, we'll go to Dedmon. We'll set everything up on the big video board, and we'll have the sound so you can. Yeah.
Is there normally a delay?
Not with the raw feed. No, with the raw feed, that's why you get it. We're getting it directly from the ACC network. Right. So they have a designated raw feed, so they have it as well to monitor. So no, there won't be like the usual TV. We're not getting the TV feed. We're getting the raw actual feed. So just like everybody had to do during COVID. So we'll be game play by play. So
wait a minute. So someone on your line, I think it's NRB Thunder.
Yeah, NRB Thunder. Yeah.
The sweet potato pie and pumpkin pie are the same pie with a single difference in ingredient. No. And here's the thing: I respect all the people that listen to this show, but that is wrong.
It's incorrect. Yeah.
First of all, there's a distinct difference between pumpkin pie and sweet potato. First of all, color. Look at the color.
Yeah.
Sweet potato pies are brighter color than pumpkin pie.
It is.
Pumpkin pie is a little darker, and there's like when you eat pumpkin pie, there's like this bad aftertaste. Sweet potato pie is hence sweet. Hence the keyword sweet. Pumpkins by nature are not even sweet. You have to add something to a pumpkin pie to get that sweetness. So yes, there is a huge difference between the two. And Mr. and Mrs. Thunder, I don't know who's funny, but no.
Agreed.
But anyway, happy Thanksgiving.
You too, brother.
What's the other one there? Someone else wrote something there.
He said, "Why can't we just have both pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie?" You're never going to say you can't have more pie.
Well, no one said you can't have both.
Sure.
But if you had growing up as a kid, you know, we would eat pumpkin pie like this is nasty, but then sweet potato pie got something there.
Yeah, I'm the opposite.
There'd be a pumpkin pie in the house, no question, but still,
you gotta have pumpkin pie.
You gotta eat it. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. You have a good one, Rick.
All right, man.
We're gonna have a dessert bracket down the line, I'm sure.
Yeah, we do. You and I just need to do it. We'll just do that. One day we'll just do the show. When things get slow, we'll just do that.
Okay.
We'll do it right here. All right, brother. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Be good. There you go, Jermaine Ferrell. There you go. Good pie conversation there from Jermaine. That was Warrant, right? Cherry pie, Warrant. Was that Warrant? Wayne, you're my hairband aficionado. Wasn't that Warrant with cherry pie back in the 80s that Jermaine referenced? Pretty sure that was their only hit. Okay, yeah. Thank you, guys. David says no pumpkin pie. You guys are just sick. Yeah, I'm not. I guess you have to really like sweet potatoes. I'm kind of hit or miss on sweet potatoes. Yeah, kind of hit or miss. A couple people ask, can you run down again what Penn State has done since James Franklin? Yeah, sure. Hang on. All right, so Penn State got embarrassed by UCLA and then lost at home to Northwestern by 1. So they fired James Franklin that Sunday. The next week, they went to Iowa and lost by 1, 25-24. Then, of course, they take on the country's best team, Ohio State, lost 38-14. Had Indiana beat, remember that great rally, Indiana, just maybe the best game all year in college football, that last drive. They lost that one 27-24. Since then, they've gone to Michigan State, beat up on them 28-10, and then they destroyed Nebraska. They got Rutgers this week to go to a bowl. So that's not a team that in any way, shape, or form cashed it in after they lost their coach, to answer your question. A 1-point loss, a 3-point loss, 2 wins, and then, of course, Ohio State. Ohio State's really good. Remember before the year when we were talking about Ryan Day and he's like 71-10? And yet people there want to act like, oh, he can't beat Michigan. Got Michigan this week. They should beat the crap out of Michigan. But again, you have a rivalry situation. Ryan Day, who in Indiana is the only other team in the country that wouldn't want Ryan Day to be their head coach? The guy's going to be like 70-something over 500 after this year. And there were actually conversations in Columbus the last time they lost to Michigan that he shouldn't be the head coach. If Tech fan is so excited over James Franklin, can you imagine if they were to hire Ryan Day? Exactly, Paul, exactly. Because he lost to Michigan. Got to fire him. And they won, Michigan won the national title. They cheated, obviously. Got away with it. But, yeah, all that came to the perfect storm, and people wanted him out. So last year they win the national championship. This year, they're undefeated and seemingly untouchable. Careful what you wish for. Imagine that, Ohio State fan, if the administration and the big donors would have followed through. David Smith and I tomorrow are going to talk more about pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie during our NFL picks. It might be more interesting than the NFL. You got to fix the officiating. If they don't fix it, the league will eventually feel the ramifications of it. They got to make those guys full time. And you got to start reviewing pass interference, especially in certain times of the game. I mean, we were talking about the week before. What game was that they called the pass interference that decided the game? Well, watching the end of the Patriots-Bengals game yesterday, now it's made the rounds. Looked like the Bengals are going to convert a big 4th down late. They were trying to rally to get the winning touchdown at the buzzer. Clearly got just absolutely manhandled, and the official standing right there didn't call. So they go from one extreme to the other. There's no consistency. It's so bad. It's so bad. Tebow said, I actually had a Tech fan tell me Tech turned down Lane Kiffin. What? Tech got their guy. Tech focused on one guy. One. They got him. They talked to some representatives of other coaches, but they were all in on the guy they got. James Franklin was not all in on Virginia Tech. But at least now we know exactly what was behind the Florida State situation. Phil Elmassian going to join us here soon. Florida State keeping Mike Norvell because the $58 million. No. Now look, I'm getting a hard time on the text line about sweet potato pie. All you people who prefer sweet potato pie over pumpkin pie, you're just wrong. I respect your opinion, but you're just wrong. That's all. I'm going to hear about it tomorrow from David Smith. I know that. I agree with the message we had earlier. Why can't there be multitudes and bountiful pie? It doesn't have to be one and the other. It could be, look, pie. Oh, there's a pie here. There's a pie there. There's another pie. There's everybody enjoy. Brian on the text line. When do we start seeing recruiting? You'll start seeing stuff this week about kids that are probably going to go to social media and commit to tech. Sure. Look, that's not going to be an issue for him. Wayne says, I am more offended. You said Warrant had one hit. What else did they have? I don't even know what else did Warrant have as a hit. I don't even know. I just remember that song in the video. Todd Grantham joins us at 8:00. Yeah. So anyway, thanks to that airline that starts with an A, I'm here, but I'll still be broadcasting the game. What a long day yesterday was. Pie, yes, have some. And Wayne's right. You need to listen to some Warrant. Start with Down Boy. Matthew's all over me here. As an 80s guy, you should know. I don't remember Warrant, though. I don't remember that, though, David. I don't remember Warrant. David says, if you choose pumpkin pie for sweet potato pie, you haven't had good sweet potato. Well, that's probably true. I have not. But I'll say the same about people who criticize pumpkin pie. You just haven't had a good pumpkin pie. Heaven. The Down Boys. I remember that. That's where the Down Boys go. That was a terrible song. Heaven was huge, Wayne says. You know what's huge is when we have this guy on. There's Phil Elmassian. He's the former coach. What's up, Coach? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick.
So the first text I get from Coach, this is great. Last Friday. I don't know. Well, whenever it was. No, it was last Monday. You were on Greg's show, radio show. And we already knew James Franklin was going to be the coach. And I get a text from Coach, hey, I just pissed off a lot of Tech fans. Remember?
I did.
What happened, Coach?
I told Greg he had me on the day after Franklin took the job. I said, I thought you were going to fire me.
What happened? Explain. What are you not drinking the Kool-Aid like everybody else?
No, I mean, just the same questions that
because
you
know.
And I.
Yeah.
No, I mean the same questions that you and I had about, why they let him go. Not that that would matter to a point, but I'm sure hopefully that was discussed and resolved, and they hired him. And my whole key on the hiring, the thing I took out of it more than anything else, Rick, was people don't understand. I went into this at length on the radio show that the Virginia Tech fans need a great. They need to thank Brent Pry. Maybe not publicly or in person, but they need to thank Brent Pry because without Brent Pry, he doesn't take that job. And I really believe that. I'll bet
100%.
Because there's a guy, Brent Pry knows about Virginia Tech in the present right now and what had happened and why it happened and every reason that the program is in the way it is with the finances and the commitment in those areas without saying that. And he could have told him, do not take this job. He could have told him that.
Yeah.
And now that doesn't mean that Franklin wouldn't have taken the job, but my bet is if he ever said, look, you won't get it done here. You'll be fired in 3 or 4 years. This program's turned, he could have spun it. This program's turned into Florida and LSU.
Right.
Okay. And in terms of your long, coaching and the plan that you have and how you want to implement your plan. Not that you need 5 years. That those days are over. 5 years are over. You have to do it in 3. And because of the portal, the money, the NIL, the expectations are 3 years. And not that that's unfair either, because a lot of times I've been with programs that have turned it around in 1. We've squeezed 2 to 3 years of work into 1 year. Virginia Tech, we went from 2 wins to 9. At University of Virginia, we went from 3 wins to 8 in a year in 1 season. So it can be done, and that was even tougher because there was no NIL and there was no portal. You had to do it within your own roster and change attitudes and find people within your own roster that could turn the program and or freshmen that were coming in. So it was really harder than it was before. But again, sometimes the portal looks easy. Well, like Florida State, though, you better get the right guys.
Yeah.
You can spend money. You spend your money on crap, you're going to get crap. And so, but I do think Brent Pry, you look at where the program is today, the commitment that they've made, not Brent Pry didn't do this purposely. Obviously, no one wants to go out there and say, I think I'll lose my job today.
Right.
Program. He worked hard at it. I'm sure he did. But at least it took them to the evaluation point where Virginia Tech, as an administration, says we're tired of losing. We can't afford the losing anymore. And I say afford monetarily, we can't afford the losing anymore. When I got to Virginia Tech in 93, the reason why the turnaround was because the players were tired of losing. They were the ones, we found the players that, everybody wants to win, but you got to find guys that hate to lose. And we found those kids within the program, and the freshmen we brought in, a la Cornell Brown, who was a big program game changer because of his personality. So
Bud Foster says that's the most important recruit Virginia Tech's ever had for what he stood for. He said Cornell Brown was the most important recruit we ever brought in. Yeah.
The football field was his playground. I don't know about you, Rick, but I was a recess guy. I majored in recess. I was looking out that window, looking at the clock, just counting the minutes down where you could go outside.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I don't know if there's anybody that's ever been in the sport or as a player that had whatever success they've had, they loved recess. And that's what Cornell Brown, I've always said, when you go watch a kid practice or get to know a kid, you want a guy that loved recess. Because when he hits that field, you can practice for 4 hours and he's still going to have a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Because he loved it so much. He loved being with the people on the field, his teammates. That's what he loved. He loved playing the game, but he really loved his team. He loved being around those kind of people. And and there's a backstory behind his coming to Recruiting Tech. I'm at Syracuse. We had a great football team and an assistant coach at EC Glass High named Mike Berry. His dad was Tom Berry. I believe his first name was Tom. Played at the University of Virginia, was a very successful high school coach in the state of Virginia. Well, Mike Berry played for me at Ferrell back in 1980, 79, 80, somewhere in that era. And, well, turn the clocks forward. I'm at Syracuse, and I get a call from Mike Berry, and I haven't heard. This is 1992, the fall of December of 92. He said, Phil, if you get that job at Virginia Tech, Cornell Brown will visit Virginia Tech. He's coaching at EC Glass High. He is the surrogate dad to Cornell Brown. He'd come over on Sundays, spend his Sundays with Mike and his family, watching NFL games. He was literally the surrogate dad to Cornell Brown. And Cornell Brown was not – Ricky Bussell was recruiting him, and Ricky Bussell's not a good recruiter. He's a great recruiter.
Yeah, he was.
He was a bulldog and a great recruiter. And so he was not going to visit Virginia Tech. He wanted to go to Maryland. Mom wants him to go to Virginia. Okay. And he was going to stay close to home because of his mom. He was a national recruit. He was a big-time national recruit. So Mike calls me up. He said he heard I was interviewing at Virginia Tech. He goes, I've had a very special relation with Mike and his dad, particularly back in the day. He said, well, if you get this job, he will visit Virginia Tech. Now, I can't guarantee he's going to come, but he'll visit if you take the job. I said, well, Mike, I appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, I take the job. Cornell Brown's going to visit. and he visited. He was not going to visit.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Very cool.
I sat with Cornell. I said, Big Daddy. I called him Big Daddy. That's what I nicknamed him. I said, Big Daddy, you and I going to make football history here. You come on here. I told him, I said, you come here. I am press releasing you number 2. You got a week to get to number 1, which I expect that to happen. And that's how that happened. It was a funny story, but it's a true story.
It's great.
But,
it's great.
And he never regretted it. He loved his time at Virginia Tech.
Something that I hadn't really thought about since yesterday. Anyone knew I was going to be here today doing the show. I wanted to ask you about, because people have asked about it. You look at Penn State right now. All right, they had a few players come forward and comment on James Franklin. It wasn't positive from a James Franklin perspective. And I started to look at their season. They're one game away from salvaging at least a bowl berth. That team is played their asses off since they lost their coach. They didn't fold up. I know they have a lot of talent, thanks to him. Give him credit. He recruited them. But what does that say about, a lot of programs would just fold up. A lot of kids would just, the coach got fired like that. They would have already been worried about leaving. They would have been worried about all these other things. That team decided to stick together and play. What does that say about them? Is somehow that a sign that James Franklin knows how to put together a team, or is it an indictment to see how well they've played and how hard they've played since he left?
Well, sorry for the voice. I've had
no, you sound great.
My coach's voice is always kicking into play. I chewed tobacco for about 20 years too, so I quit that a long time ago, but I'm sure all that's starting to kick in. I think when you ask that question, Rick, I just can't help think about Virginia Tech, because what's the difference other than a couple of more wins? Penn State got better players. They're bowl in a tougher conference, but they're almost bowl eligible. I think it speaks to the players, the character of their players, and the talent of their players. Don't forget, this is a team that was number 2 in the country. This is a football team that was number 2 in the country and was a couple of plays away from going to number 1, being undefeated. And a team that had a chance to play for a national championship 2 years ago. So you got a team with a lot of pride. You got players that are competitors. The number one thing that in recruiting, like Brent Pry did at Virginia Tech, he found kids that like to compete. Now, they stopped somewhere between that Vanderbilt game and that Old Dominion game. They stopped.
They did.
Don't know why. Wasn't there. I can speculate, but they quit on the coach, whether they know it or not.
And Penn State quit on. In Penn State, that same team that's rallied
at UCLA
quit on James Franklin.
At UCLA, the programs are so similar. The only difference was Penn State's got better players, and they went from number 2 to the country to, penthouse to the outhouse. And Virginia Tech the expectations were 8-9 wins, but not top 5 in the country. So that's even more of a difference. So when you talk about pressure on players, the expectations on those Penn State players, from their families to the administration to the coaches and to themselves, when you get that caliber of talent on your football team, your expectations are off the charts. At Virginia Tech, not that they're any lower, but you can have all the expectations you want. Your talent's going to take you but so far. I don't confuse lack of effort with lack of talent. I've never confused that. Okay. But the programs are so similar. the difference is the nationality and the national ranking. But they both crashed and burned, both of them, on games that not should have won, not could have won, but should have won. You know, Penn State should go out to L.A. and beat them. Okay, Virginia Tech, Old Dominion coming into town and should beat them, and they don't. So, you know, I look at both programs. I don't know if I've answered your question, Rick, but I look at both programs so similar path. And the irony is Brent Pry coached with, you know, Coach Franklin for 8 years, and he gets fired, and Franklin gets fired, and he takes his place. The irony is off the chart.
It's unique, isn't it? Yeah, the protege gets fired, the mentor is welcomed with open arms. It's an odd thing. It is.
But other than the national ranking, think about it, Rick. Take the national ranking out of it, and the Penn State crash and burn from number 2 in the country to disappearing from the top 25. Okay, what's the difference? What's the difference? It was a one-game resume for the coaches. They both got fired after an embarrassing loss. Embarrassing. Why that happened, how that happened, you and I, we weren't there. We don't know. Now, Penn State's been able to salvage the season to get to a bowl because they're a whole more talented football team. But what Montgomery's done at Virginia Tech, what's the difference between what he's done at Virginia Tech, watching them play and the efforts that they play with?
I know.
There's no different other than, you know, 2 or 3 more wins.
I hope he gets a job somewhere, either as a head coach or that guy's. I can't say enough he's still invested. You could tell he was more emotional. I think this whole week's weighed on him, you know. All of a sudden the things he's done and that current team kind of took a huge backdrop. Right? They were secondary to what was going on with James Franklin. I think it weighed on him. I've been told as much, and it kind of came out, the emotions. He was all, I mean, every time they showed him, he was a little different on Saturday.
You could see a guy that's very secure in his football self.
Yes, he is.
That's how I would call it, Rick. You know, you've seen coaches, but you've seen guys that are so insecure, you know, and that's the demise of the business. And that's what happened to me my last 5 years. My insecurities started developing and infecting myself. So, but what that weekend and all that circus, you know, Barnum and Bailey had nothing to do on. It's a 3-ring circus, baby. I mean, you had the coach. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. Coach Saban never got that when he took the LSU job. It's just transition. But it's during the season. The recruiting calendar changed. He's going to have official visits. You know, some of the kids, the 26 class, particularly from my understanding, that committed to Penn State were down there. That had decommitted were there, you know. And so for him to keep his composure, I mean, he's got, you know, Franklin goes in and addresses the team. You better have a great self-image that you're going to follow that and go into the team and get them ready. And I really do believe that's another great testament to their players, because they could have said, the hell with this Miami game, and really they gave a heck of an effort. They just didn't play as well, made mistakes. You know, offensive line Miami's defense was really, their front 7 was fantastic in that game. They had 14 disruptive plays. 1 out of every 4 plays was behind the line of scrimmage for Tech offense, and that put them way behind the sticks, got them in trouble, you know, trying to force things. Their running game, they still ran the ball so well. Listen, in the game of football, Rick, I'm digressing, but one thing I'll tell you in the game of football, when you run the ball on somebody, your manhood gets challenged. And
there's no question. No question.
With a lot of pride, and they ran the ball on them. I mean, they gashed them no other team had done that.
I know.
But,
well,
you know,
he's going to be well thought of. He's going to be well thought of, Coach, I think. But boy, if they cement this by beating UVA, if they knock out UVA out of the ACC championship game, that guy's going to have his flowers and a free meal in Blacksburg for what he's done the rest of his life when he comes back.
Well, you get to the point now, even in his position, and Todd was a player then, but even for us as coaches, I will say one thing. I think you're right because, when we were fired at Virginia Tech in '86, after the third game, we ended up winning the rest of the games and went to the Peach Bowl. And we had a 9-win record and beat NC State in the Peach Bowl. And I got the Virginia job because of what we did during that season as coaches, and how we beat Virginia Tech beat the University of Virginia 46 to whatever they scored. I can't remember what they scored, but I know we put 46 on them and made them quit. They said that in the newspapers, the Virginia kids. We quit. Roanoke Times. I got the articles. And George Welsh interviewed me because he wanted to know how we pulled that off and how and he was so enamored by Bill Dooley and how Virginia, because he knew he had better players than we did. He knew that. And how did Virginia underachieve? So, yeah, my point being is Coach Montgomery is going to be able to, I think he will have a job. There's no question about it. And a lot of those staff guys, I think a lot of the staff guys, they've all represented themselves well. May not be in a Power 4. They may be in MAC Sunbelt guys, or some of them may get head coaching jobs at smaller schools. And
yeah, why not?
But I would be surprised if most of that staff will have gone on, because if Virginia Tech, when we got fired, Pat Watson got the Georgia Tech job as an O-line coach. I got a lot of the staff guys were able to get jobs that wanted to.
Yeah, right. Well, let me ask you this, Coach. You were there in Charlottesville. They've got an opportunity. They've had a breakthrough year, right, for Tony Elliott. If Tech goes in there and does what Tech has done over this last 20 years and just beats them.
19 out of 20? Is it 19 out of 20?
It's something like that. Yeah, 19 out of 20. Does UVA, in your mind, can they recover from that? Like, here it is. They've done a great job turning this thing around. Tony's done a great job in the portal. They've been very close in a lot of these games. If Tech goes in there and beats them on their field, how long do you think this could have an effect? I know it's hard to say, but how long could this affect UVA the other way?
Big time. I mean, this is. Listen, when I was having coached at both schools, very unique, having perspective of both schools. 4 years of 2 tours of duty at Virginia Tech, a total of 4 years. 2 with Dooley and 2 with Coach Beamer, and then 4 years with Coach Welsh. And I tell you, the thing I'm most proud of in '93, it was the first time Virginia Tech were ranked in the top 25 playing each other for the first time in the history of the schools. I was really proud of that. And after that, that's where the kids started staying in state. They want to play for championships. I got the NIL. I get it. But you know why those high school players are that good? Because they're competitors too. And they want to win. And why did Chris Cole go to Georgia? Why did he go to Georgia? Why did he leave the state 2 years ago in Salem? Because he wanted a ring on his finger. He wanted the national. I know he's got the Lamborghini. He's got the money. Okay, I want that, but I want the ring too. I do want the ring. Okay, you can't give me the ring. You can give me the Lamborghini. I'll drive it to the next school. but yeah, I think, where Virginia is right now in their program, it's a game for the first time being played. Someone is in national rankings for the very first time in a long time. And not only national rankings, you're talking about a playoff implication football team. Get me to the championship game. And because of the 12-game expansion, if it was 4 teams, it's a game. Fine, get me to the championship game. We're going to a bowl. Now, because of the 12 teams, okay, get me to the championship game, and I'm in. They beat Virginia Tech. They're playing either SMU or Pitt for the ACC championship. And how about Georgia Tech imploding with a really poor – they crashed and burned defense.
They did.
Here's my question to you, Rick. I posed the same question to Greg Roberts, and I think their coaches I've always banged the drum of Coach Radzinski, the D coordinator, for the last 4 years. I love this guy. You talk about to me, should get the Broyles. I will vote him for the Frank Broyles Award of Assistant Coach of the Year because they've gotten better every game. They've made improvements in every game, and the last 4 out of 5, they've won the games because of the defense. Period. And it's hard to put it on one segment of your team. Now, the last game Virginia played, they were a complete football team. And they had a heck of a game the last game they played, offensively, defense, and kicking. But here's what I posed to Greg. I said, okay, let's play a pickup game, Rick. We're going back to the playground. All right. There's Virginia Tech. Let's say you and I, we get to choose a team, but we're going to pick players to do it. Quarterback, you taking Kyron Jones or Chad Morris? Who you taking?
Oh, I'm taking Morris all day.
End of story.
End of story.
Period.
All day.
Period. Offensive line is a unit. You taking Virginia's or Virginia Tech's?
Virginia's in a heartbeat.
The talent level's not that far apart, but they're the Virginia 5, I call them the 5 kids, are playing more together. They're playing more solid together. Okay? All right? Defense as a whole, who you taking? Virginia's or Virginia Tech's?
Yeah. I'm going to take the Cavs. Yeah.
I'm taking the Cavs because you look at the rankings, and they're in top 5 in the ACC rankings in just every category. And so is their offense. And they may be dipped below the 5, but most of the categories of statistics that count in terms of define your football team, not that, they're in the top 5.
Yeah.
So and what Virginia has done to get them to this point, I think will carry them through this game, and that's called stability and confidence. Those players, when Tony Elliott in the summer did not fire, or after the last season did not fire any of his coaches, that was a statement to their players. Hey, we've got good coaches here. I've got good coaches here. I expect you to perform. We're going to recruit. They got into the portal and hit the lotto in the portal.
There you go. They did it.
I mean, Coach Alvarez, when you get the support from your head coach like that to your players as an assistant in turbulent times, that is critical. Critical. When that head coach can go in front of that football team, I've got good coaches. And I'm going to bring in better players. Let's go. And don't forget, you got 2 kinds of players, problem solvers and problem creators. And Virginia, they got some problem solvers.
They do.
Yeah. And the kids that they brought in. Coach Alvarez, after the Penn State game, my first year, we were so bad in the secondary, and that's why he hired me. They fired every secondary coach they had. He went in after that game, went right to the defensive backs, and the language was off the charts. Kind of a man with my own heart. But he said, I've hired the best secondary coach in America. Talking about me. And I'm sitting there going, yes, I know I'm not getting fired this time around. And it meant a lot. It meant the world to me. And it shockwaved to the players because he had just fired every secondary coach they've ever had. And he finally went in there and literally stood up for me and my coaching. And guess what? We end the next 2 years, we're in the Rose Bowls.
Right.
And we are the best. We're the top secondary in the conference for 2 years in terms of interceptions, pass, and whatever. So, not with digressing, but that's
it's all right. No, that's good. That's good.
I can experience some of those things. I've experienced them. I don't know if there's a lot of things I haven't experienced in this business.
That's right. That's right. We'll have a lot to talk about next week, Coach. I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving, man, as always.
You too, Rick. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. Because of the implications, I'd love to see Virginia Tech. It's hard for me sometimes because of having
you've been at both places. Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough. We had great success there. Great kids. And but I just for the Virginia and where they've come with that program, I hope they can get in that championship game. And what a great I wish Coach Norton, if they get to those playoffs, I always said when they won the national championship in basketball, my first thought was, I wish Coach Norton was alive to see this because he was so pro Virginia.
Yeah.
Sports and just it'd just be great to see outside of JMU.
Right.
Let's get one of the flagship schools in the national picture. Come on.
Sure. Why not?
That's the only way you're going to keep these kids in state.
Yeah.
They're not going to come and play to go to the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
They're not.
That's right.
Or the Independence Bowl anymore. They're not. They want a ring on the finger, whether it's conference championship or national championship. And the Travion Henderson, those good players in the state, that's what Cornell Brown did not want to play. They wanted to play at that time for a championship team and ended up doing it, winning Big East championships in his career. So.
All right, Coach. Take care, brother.
All right, Rick.
We'll talk this week. I know.
Tell Todd I said hello. Give him my best.
I will. Thanks, man. Be good. Elmassian, great stuff from him. Speaking of Todd Grantham, one coach to the next. What's going on, TG? Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Rick. How you doing this morning? Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you, buddy. Hope you have a great week, and happy Thanksgiving to all your listeners out there.
Thanks, man. You too. You and your fam as well.
Yeah. I heard Phil saying he's rooting for both Virginia Tech and Virginia this week.
Yeah.
I can promise you that I'm not doing that. So I'm only coaching one. And I'll be rooting for the Hokies like all the other ones. And I did hear him talk about the 86 team there. You know, what's funny is, I mean, we did beat those guys pretty bad. And we only ran 2 plays. We ran right at them. And I think we ran the same play 10 times in a row and scored a touchdown. And all it was back then you had 2 backs in the backfield and we ran lead. And we got to the point in the game, we actually told the guy over the top of me that it was coming. And then we were running right at him. And that was a lot of fun. So this is rivalry week, man. I've been a part of a lot of those, and obviously the Virginia one's one of the premier ones I've been a part of. But I can tell you, I'll only be rooting for one. And it's funny he talked about Cornell there. I actually visit or talk to Cornell. We texted. We're in a group text together. Obviously, I coach Cornell, at Virginia Tech, and we text for this weekend because of the Miami game. And, what's interesting is all of those guys, we still talk. And that goes back to 95, and we're in a group text. And I told them they had to get a logo or a theme of what they were going to be as a front. And they came up with Death Row. So my group text is Death Row. So every time Death Row comes up, I know it's one of my guys from 95. And, they were talking about the 95 team, and really they're right. That team probably doesn't get enough credit because the year they beat Miami that year, that kind of put us on winning the 10. That put us on the 10-win game, and we ended up going to the Sugar Bowl, which really ended up being the biggest win in Tech history. Yeah. And those guys had a huge part of that and what they're doing, and they got a lot of pride in it. So I can promise you, myself and all those guys, we know who we're rooting for this weekend. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, let's get your take. Obviously, since we last spoke here on the program, James Franklin officially hired. We knew Monday was going to be the trigger day, right? That was what was coming down one way or the other. And sure enough, he's going to come to Blacksburg, and he's going to be the new head coach. Got the contract announced, and now we'll find out about the staff. I'm sure he's got many of those guys secure. What are some of your thoughts, some of the positive things about James Franklin coming to Blacksburg?
Yeah, I'll be honest. The biggest positive that people should be excited about is the increased revenue in the football program, meaning the budget this year is going to be $190 million. Okay. And it's like anything you get, I always say, and that increased revenue of $190 million is really going to put them in the top part of the conference financially, as far as what you can spend on your support staff, your salaries, and those kind of things. And actually, the overall commitment is $229 million over 4 years. And it's like anything, you have to have the support staff. You have to have, I saw something about facilities. Facilities are important, but really it's the ability to attract quality coaches, meaning now with that kind of money, you can do your salary. I think the biggest thing that, just from watching from afar, that they got to really work on is the structure and the recruiting organization, meaning who's in charge of that, how it gets funneled to the coaches. Because the day of the coach looking at his area and finding kids, that day's over. Things happen too fast now. So, when you increase your manpower, you get more eyes on players. So the ability to increase the recruiting program and the way they can organize that, I think, is probably the biggest thing. And then really outside of that, it's just a financial commitment to the salary of coaches, support staff, and all of those people. That's the biggest thing people should be excited about, is their ability to be able to compete with the top people in the ACC from a financial standpoint. The one thing that I thought was interesting from Franklin was he's always made a comment about alignment, and he made the comment, I'll do my part, now it's up to Virginia Tech to do theirs. And what he was talking about is the financial commitment to the facilities, to the support structure, the infrastructure, because he understands that he needs people around him. You're only as good as the people around you. So really, I think that's the biggest thing people should be, excited about. And, just seeing it, like, even from my standpoint, when I was at Mississippi State, and I was only there 8 months, but from a recruiting standpoint, when you compare that to my year at Alabama, it's not close from just the overall manpower, players, getting players to you earlier, your ability to take private flights out on, Thursday night to go to an area to recruit during the season so you can come back on Friday. I mean, all of that stuff matters. And, now that they've made that commitment, I think that can help them attract, some quality players, because it only takes a couple. And to give you an example, when I was at Mississippi State, they were 110th in defense. And we added 2 players. We added John Abrams and Montez Sweat. Now, Jeffrey Simmons got a year older, and we went from 110th in the country. They were 110th the previous year. We went 10th in the country and won nine games in the SEC. So getting a playmaker or 2 does matter on defense, particularly when you can get the guys that can cover. I think anytime you can add finances like that, I think it's a good thing.
Well, we know that James Franklin will put together a good defense. We know he's going to recruit well. I mean, he's done that. That's what he did at Penn State. Heck, he brought in talent at Vanderbilt, right? He got that program going while he was down there in Nashville. So he's had success. He's very good at that, the relationships. And you're right, with the money involved with it, it feels like that's going to be a perfect storm for Tech to turn this roster upside down pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think the thing that with the roster thing now is, and this is probably a topic that we could talk about for 30 minutes, but the calendar in NCAA football is so jacked up, and it's like one hand's pulling the other hand, but you're not pulling together. Meaning, okay, you're talking about a guy like Lane Kiffin and what he's going to do. Is he going to stay or leave? But he's going to have a home playoff game, possibly.
Yeah.
You have that. Then you have coaches that are either gotten fired or getting ready to get fired after this weekend. But high school kids cannot visit December nowadays. In other words, December 1 starts what they call a dead period in coaching, where kids can't come on campus. So you're going to let your coach go after this past game, but nobody can come on campus and they can sign. So this whole calendar needs to really be addressed, and that's a topic for another conversation, another day. But they're not unified to make it better for the players, the fans, and really the sport. Because to be able to talk about a guy going from this school to that school because of the success of his team, like Lane's doing, is really something that is kind of sad in the situation. Because Ole Miss, if it wasn't for the way things are now, Ole Miss would not be in the playoffs and are in the playoff hunt. And that's a credit to the NIL and credit to the coaching staff and what they've done. And now you're dealing with an issue of, is he going to stay or is he going to go? And that's where the calendar's really got to get, better. Because when we went to Florida, it wasn't quite as bad, but we got hired and we basically had 10 days to sign that recruiting class. Now that was before the portal, so guys couldn't go in the portal. So basically you had the roster you had, which they were a 4-win team, and you had to go out and recruit guys and have that relationship with guys to come to Florida over a 10-day span that would affect how you played the next, couple years.
Yeah.
So you really lose that first year. And now it's actually worse because basically kids are going to sign, I think it's December the 3rd. And how are you going to have that relationship with the coach, when basically he's going to be hired on, December 1st. I mean, at the end of the day. So what it tells you is it's not about relationship. It's about how much money you're going to pay me. And that kind of thing. And that's what excites the guys, unfortunately, now more than anything. It's still about vision and things like that. But make no mistake, your contractual obligation or commitment to them is up there pretty high.
And that falls into something I talked about earlier, Coach. These decommitments that we see. For instance, people have been highlighting Penn State and all the people that left. But I want you to explain what that means, right? When the coach is no longer there, then all of a sudden whatever kind of money they agreed to is not on the table anymore for those kids.
Yeah, I mean, for example, at Oklahoma State, we had the top recruiting class in probably Gundy's 21 years there. We were done for the 26th class. We had already signed our guys defensively. We were done. So as soon as I was let go, the front guys and Gundy was let go, the front guys started falling. And what happens is one, hey, what kind of system am I playing in? Okay. Who's teaching me and what's the vision for my development? And then contractually, is this a committable deal? Because the player can get out of it, but so can the university. They can get out of that contract. So I think what happens is when you're talking about anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000 on average for the kid, that money is obviously the most they've made in their lifetime. It's not life-changing money, but it's damn good. And, all of a sudden another school that's winning, say, like, for example, when I was at Oklahoma State, we beat Ole Miss on the kid. Well, Ole Miss just came back in on the kid after we were let go. And now you got a chance to go play for a playoff team that is going to win 11 games. And we're going to give you, they know what we offered and what the commitment was. So they'll bump in another 50,000. So now the kid can make more money and everything. So that's really what's happening is they're going to decommit to keep their options open to allow them to see financially, what's the best opportunity for them moving forward over the next few days to collect their, paycheck for next year and their ability to play. That's really what's going to happen.
And just falls back to what you just said, Coach, about the money that Texas committed to all this. Then Franklin can go to some of those kids from other places that might be decommitting too. And say,
I mean, exactly.
Right?
He can recruit those guys as well as anyone else. He can recruit the guys that are currently committed. So that it's a major financial commitment. The revenue sharing is one thing, but then you have what they call the NIL collective, which is basically increase your revenue for the players. So the combination of those two things allows you to have your salary. And that's what's interesting when you look at the Florida State situation. Florida State actually made a comment, I think yesterday, that Norvell was going to stay. Well, that decision was made after the Stanford game, meaning they lost to Stanford. And, with social media now, we all hear about, hey, they're going to fire this guy and all that kind of stuff. So pressure looms on, administrators. And I know for a fact that, like at Florida State, they did the data to see, all right, if we fire this guy, what's the cost? And what's the cost to bring a new staff in? Because it's not just the coach. Let's say Norvell's getting $50 million. Well, they hired their defensive and offensive coordinators who are at a minimum of 1.5 for 3 years. So each of those guys would be due $3 million over the next 2 years. Well, that doesn't count the other assistant coaches or your recruiting or support staff you're going to let go. So now you're talking anywhere from $6 to $10 million on top of what you're paying the head coach. And they made the commitment that we're going to ride this thing out, which, hey, if they're winning next year and they're having a great year, everybody look back on it and brag on what they did. But really, they made a financial commitment or a commitment to stay the course because financially they saw it as it was more beneficial to stay with what we have than move forward. But that was made back in the Stanford game because, you just don't lose to NC State on a Friday night. And then the reason it came out that they were going to keep him is because of the commitment of the players, like you were talking about. In other words, if they let it loom all the players that they have committed, every coach that's recruiting those guys is saying, well, he's going to get fired after next year anyway, or after next week. And that's going to create doubt in those players. So by the university coming out and saying, hey, we're going to keep this guy another year. Well, a year is like a lifetime for a high school kid nowadays. He's okay, he's going to be there, so I'm going to go. So basically, by them saying that publicly, it allowed them to keep the recruits that they have for this year, as well as the guys they're probably going to attract or they've already been in contact with that'll go in the portal on January the 2nd. So that decision was made weeks ago. And look, agents like Jimmy and the top guys, they knew what was going to happen before all of that happened. They like Florida State had made that decision. And that's an example of, hey, we're going to stick it out and we're going to announce it now rather than at the end of the year, because we want to make sure we keep the recruits that we've already financially committed to. And that's really why that situation arose. But that decision was made after the Stanford game.
Was it at that point you realized that may have sealed the deal in James Franklin's mind, because he knew at that point every other opportunity has kind of exhausted itself now? He had one shot of getting back into coaching, and that was in Blacksburg.
Well, I think that it goes back to it. It doesn't matter how you get your job. This is my job and this is what I'm going to do. Like I said last time, you know that you got to be where your feet are. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're a head coach, a coordinator, a position coach, whatever your role is, you got to be where your feet are. That's in anything you do in life. And I think that they exhausted all options, and the intel that's really the agent's job is to have the intel on the things that are available and the things that you have a shot at, and then you make an educated decision. And then based upon all of that, the decision to come to Virginia Tech was made. And I think the excitement that he had on it was Virginia Tech upping their financial commitment considerably, not only next year, but over the next 4 years, to put them in the top tier of, the ACC, which should allow them to have success. Because, look, it is a great school. You can win there. You should win there. And I think with the financial commitment they've made, they'll be able to do that.
Well, Coach, jumping around here, what about Lane Kiffin, this scenario? Is this coming weekend? Does it seem to make more sense that we're going to have a resolution one way or the other? And where ultimately do you think he's going to be? Just your best guess.
It'd be a guess. And you could ask me later. You could ask me tomorrow.
I know.
It's really made for TV. It's made for shows like yours, because you can come on and talk about it for 30 minutes, man, and everybody's going to turn in and listen to you.
I know.
Look, at the end of the day, I think that knowing the people around Lane, I do think it's a tough decision. I do think he likes Oxford, and he likes, the university, and they've done well there. I do know that his agent, Jimmy Sexton, if he's going to choose, feels like LSU's a better job. And a part of that is because of his relationship with Nick Saban. And Nick has always felt LSU was one of the premier jobs in the country because of the homegrown talent, meaning there's a lot of kids in the state of Louisiana that all they grew up knowing. So you're going to recruit against other teams, but when you're 5 years old and you grow up for 10 to 12 years and you're thinking of LSU football, and all of a sudden the head coach of LSU or an assistant comes in wearing that logo, like that's powerful. That means something to you, and it gives you a chance to attract good players. I mean, if you look at the history of just the guys that go to the National Football League, LSU has attracted a lot of players, and they've had a lot of guys drafted. And I think at the end of the day, the family thing is important. But like I said before, Lane's guys that he has a lot of respect for that have kind of groomed him through his career are really Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. And both of those guys won national championships. So I think the final question will be, like, where can I win a national championship the best? I think that'll be the deciding answer. And if you're answering that, I expect him to move on. And then is he going to LSU or Florida? I think that he'll end up choosing LSU. So we'll just have to see if that's right. But I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it because, like I said, it can change. Look, there's a lot of dudes out there that are donors, man, and they might listen to the show, man, and they own a tree company or something, and they decide to make a considerable contribution and might change that way of thinking. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to end up being, where can I win a national championship the best from a percentage standpoint? And if that's the case, I think it ends up being LSU. But we'll have to wait and see.
What about Coach Sumrall? Looks like he's going to be maybe playing for another conference title again. That's all he's ever done. He's a winner.
Yeah, he my daughter actually worked for him at Troy, so I got to know him. He's a very energetic guy. He's a defensive coach that I got to know when my daughter was at Troy, and then obviously went to Tulane. So when I was with the Saints, we had a relationship there. I'd go watch him practice. Very high energy guy. I think he's got a really good offensive coordinator. Actually, his offensive coordinator was the number one target of Oklahoma State last year. And he actually chose to stay at Tulane and ride that out and stay with Coach Sumrall. So I think that, with so many jobs open and, he's actually always played for a championship. If you look at the teams that he's had, he's always played for a championship. So, that standard's pretty high. So I would expect that he's going to have some opportunities. And I think the biggest thing for him is it the best fit for me and my family? But I would think that he would be moving on, after this season. So we'll just have to wait and see, what happens with that. But shoot, man, it's rivalry week. This is like one of the first times. Like normally as a coach, this whole rivalry thing on Thanksgiving is a disaster for me because everything gets speeded up. When you're a college coach, like for example, Virginia Tech, Virginia, I was a part of that. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, which we played the Egg Bowl on Thursday when I was there. And, that means you got to play on Saturday and get ready for a Thursday game. So basically you don't sleep. And, I got to play on, the Egg Bowl was on a Thursday. We played that one, which I will say of all the rivalries I've been a part of, that might be the most hated one. There's genuine hate for each other in that thing. Like I've never seen anything like that one. And the other time that I played, on Thanksgiving was when I was in the National Football League in Dallas. We played two. We played Oakland at the time. It was Oakland, the Raiders, and then we played Seattle. And that whole thing, man, playing a Sunday game, turning around and having to play a Thursday. People just don't realize, first of all, as a coach, it's really hard to game plan and add things. But from a player standpoint, guys like that, your body doesn't recover. If you just watch the game, they're not playing as hard. But it's not that they don't want to. It's physically your body can't do those things. And it's a lot of toll. So this is actually the first Thanksgiving that I've actually got a chance to enjoy it. I made my wife go buy turkey and get all this stuff ready. And shoot, man, I got to get ready. And then I saw your thing about pies. The only thing about the pies you were talking about, you really didn't talk about the cream of the pie, which was pecan pie. Okay, yeah. That one's got to be on there, which I don't – is it pecan or pecan? Because I've worked in different areas of the country, and I'd say pecan, and they'd say pecan, and then I'd say pecan, and they'd say pecan. I'm like, well, I don't know what it is, but it's really good. And I like it. So, anyway,
that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so that's the one I would stick with on the things you talked to. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving, man. A lot of games coming on, and rivalry week. I'm just glad I get to enjoy it. In high school when you and I played, it was always the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember that was always the thing. Like I got buddies that still have, they got their alumni of high schools and shoot, they're all fired up. Like I got a couple friends at Danville and they're all fired up. They're playing this Friday. And that was always the sign of a good season in high school is you were eating Thanksgiving after practice and you're getting ready to play either Friday or Saturday. And back then I remember we always played Patrick Henry. And but here's the thing about it then, back in that day, it was always single A, double A, triple A.
I know.
There was no breaking down to six. It was like, hey, you're either single A, double A, or triple A, go play. And man, making the playoffs back then was tough. I remember one year we were 9-0 and PH was 8-1, and we were playing for the Roanoke Valley District Championship. And they had to bring in extra bleachers in the stands and all that for the amount of people. And the loser of the game wasn't going to go to the playoffs. I'm like, how is that? We're 9-0, and if we don't win this game, we're not going to playoffs. But we ended up winning, going 10-0, and ended up making the playoffs, which makes it always fun to enjoy your Thanksgiving, knowing you get to play on a Friday or Saturday night.
I know. You see now, and you have teams with 3 wins making the playoffs. And we were literally playing for our lives, undefeated. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and nowadays I'll look and because I'll still have friends, like I said, that have. They follow their high school teams and they're like they're like 2-8, and they say, "Yeah, we got a chance to make the playoffs." I'm like, explain to me how you can make the playoffs when you're 2-7 or 2-8 or whatever it is. And back then we were 9-0, and they're like, "Yeah, if you don't win this game, you may not make the playoffs, so you'll lose the tiebreaker." I mean, explain that logic. How did it change? So.
Well, Coach, listen, man, appreciate you as always. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your fam, and I hope you have all the pie that you want. You can watch, and Friday's a big college football and NFL. You got a lot going on football-wise on Friday now.
A lot going on, man, so I'm going to enjoy it, and I appreciate you, and happy Thanksgiving to yourself and everybody listening. You guys take care.
All right, brother. Stay safe, man. There you go, Todd Grantham. Yeah, it's a true story. We were 9-0. If we lose that game, it's PH. They didn't go to the playoffs at 8-2. It just blows your mind. It blows your mind when you think about it. All right, we're just about done for the day here. I want to thank all of our sponsors, the Ready Set Fund. Give Bob Christ a call. Reach out to him, ReadySetFund.com. Thanks to him. Professional Door Incorporated, sponsor of our text line, Travis Williams up in Dublin. I'm so glad he got his work staff filled. Thank you for responding. Community, 38 years in business. National Bank member, FDIC. Thanks to Larry Ramsey, the exclusive banking partner of BDST. We'll come up with the question tomorrow. Be thinking about it. Last week we used a fan question. Let me know. The Ryan Pride attorney, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. Let me know what you want the fan question to be heading into the final weekend of the regular season for Virginia Tech. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee, give him a call, 540-553-2971. Get your heat units installed. If they're not, get new ones. If they're old, and get them serviced so you don't have to worry about investing in new ones. Each and every day we're presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to Tim Miller, Jonathan Sweet. Starting December, we're going to have a representative from Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment on every week with us, and we're very excited about that. The chat always blows up. Love it. Good, bad, or indifferent, whether you agree or not. It's great to have people. Everybody's opinion matters. So you show it a lot in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Thank you for that. And thanks to Mark Hunley. He's the best over off of Peppers Ferry Road. And Jason Green and everybody at Family Fencing. Thank them. They're sponsoring our studio here, 540-200-8294. They will be working through the winter. Best time to get fencing or something done in your yard is in the wintertime because nobody is, doing anything else in your yard. So get it done so in the spring you can just go out and start enjoying and implement the things that you want. I want to thanks to James Lawson, everybody at Lawson's Mobile Home. They've been around since 1997, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl. They're going to have boogie bowling and all sorts of things going on in December, 382-5525. Give them a call. Reserve your lanes. And Harvey's Gym in Radford, thanks to Brad Harvey. If you're thinking about getting a Christmas present, a new vehicle or a used vehicle, go see Brad and his staff. You owe it to yourself to at least go talk to him. And he'll educate you one way or the other about your next purchase of a new vehicle. And thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf. Thanks to them. Thanks to everybody, Steve Buffetto, and everybody at the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce. Honored to be part of that. Great start to the week, everybody. I'll be calling the Radford game tonight, even from a distance, against SMU, and we'll see how all that plays out. We'll be back tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thanksgiving week. And we'll feast all week, except for Thursday here on the program. See you tomorrow, everybody.